Okay, welcome everyone. We'll start lesson 3. Today lesson will go through LO3 and a couple of you already know me. My name is Anjum Sathar, and if you have any question, please drop me email anjum@ukversity.co.uk. I'll try my best to get back to you as soon as possible. Hope so you can see the slides. Yes. So please, if you have any question, you can ask before starting our session. Okay. So during our last lesson and the lesson before, so first lesson we discussed about assurance. We had a discussion about a bit audit, and then second lesson was about internal control. So we discussed various sort of control, and which we discuss about sales, we discuss about cash, we discuss about payrolls, we discuss about computing and these different sort of control system. We said internal control we have to improve by setting SOPs, standard operating procedure, and which is the internal audit will help to minimize the risk. We discuss about audit risk, we discuss about inherent risk, we discuss about deduction risk, and we discuss about control risk. So the risk mean anything the probability of happening things, so that's we discuss. Can you hear me okay, please? Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you. So today lesson is lesson 3, which will go through understand how to gather evidence when completing an insurance engagement. That will be the key in our lesson 3. Okay. So today lesson is assurance process, assurance planning, evidence, assurance procedures, sampling, testing, computer assisted assurance techniques, which we'll go through, and how we can prepare the reports, detailed reports and evidence, how we can collect it, and different type of test we can use it. So legal requirement that will be in our discussion will cover, and I already shared with you the books during our last lesson and the pathway which I mentioned you and gave you. So 3.1, I discussed the reason for preparing documentations. So it's quite crucial. The documentation will help, to investigate and improve our control. And we look around the different stages gathering the evidence. So auditor get the evidence in shape of sampling, in shape of third party evidence, internal documents which we can look around various for audit purposes, and review the different method of obtaining evidence. Yes, we can write, we can reference, we can ask third party. Editors have a right to investigate and give the true opinion and give the assurance. Editor never give the absolute assurance, which mean 100% nothing is wrong with the company. They give the reasonable assurance or negative assurance, but not absolute assurance. Discuss the issue arising. Gathering evidence can be materiality and various other issues, and sampling and testing and different types of the tests used to be get the evidence. Analyze the need if you want to work toward the confirmation representation from management and the form of assurance. Compare and contrast the reliability of different source of assurance. Reliability, who's saying it? What are the reliable information? The bank statement is more reliable because the money come in and out. And the third party evidence can be, but we need to be look around authenticity of that, because sometimes you're good, your other client good and giving evidence, and that's maybe it's not 100% acceptable, of course, but it's increase the reliability. So that's we need to look around the reliability of documents, and that's it's being computer generated, is it being handwritten, and those also considered. So we had a discussion in the past as well, but we looking, and sometimes is a repetition of the things linking to. So the audit a type of assurance engagement that carried out auditors to give an independent opinion on the set of the financial statement. Independent opinion, so nobody really enforces. So we can look around 5 professional code of ethics. Independent auditor independency is the most important. Otherwise, but That's other problem we have, because the fees is paying by the company. And if the editor not work in the interest of the company or the best interest of the shareholder, what they can, sometimes they call the meeting and change the firm, and the firm's revenue is coming from. So this is a very complex, situation can be. So we can look around those. The Company Act 2006, which we registered the company in the company house. The act we are following, all the company have an audit. Those are PLCs and registered in the stock exchange, and the small, their turnover is more. So exemption, the small company turnover less than 10.2 million and asset is 5.1 million and implies is less than 50. So they don't need to be do audit. So entities and the banks, we can look around, and assurance companies, and whether the standard loan or the part of the groups cannot be example even. So we can look around, the editors are required to produce a report. Shareholders is must express their opinion. The financial statement is being prepared and applicable. The financial reporting plan for properly prepared and give the true and fair. So key thing is the true and fair information being given to the shareholder. We had a discussion already in the previous session. Assurance engagement is the practitioner accountant express conclusion assigned enhance the degree of the confidence and an intended user, and then the auditors give the assurance that has been prepared these statements. It can be reasonable assurance is a high level of assurance, but not absolute. Limited assurance, low level of assurance, or which is stated negatively. And editors can never give the absolute assurance because of the inherently limitation of the risk involved in the audit. So we had a discussion in the past, practitioner and intended user, shareholders, managers, and agency theory. We had a discussion on this, so that's we need to be keep in mind. Okay, so what purpose of assurance? Why is crucial? Accountability, cover a range of issues and discuss, under the title of the corporate governance. So financial statement, profit warnings, going concern. So what is meant by going concern? The company will carry on business for unseen period, at least a year. The company will carry on its activity at the same level where they did the last year. So is a going. If there is a going concern issues, then the editor will highlight it. Should highlight it due to the heavily debt. So we not giving any reasonable assurance, but we giving the assurance the company, if they manage the debt, then is company carry on. So then can be sustainability issues. So that can be director accountability, investment protection, internal control, and risk policy. That's we need to be look around. Okay, guys. So assurance provisions, communication needed. Director required to produce a financial statement true and fair, encourage communication with the stakeholders, director pay, going concern, management of risk, what control we have in place in our organization, professional accountant, we can look around, those are following all the required and they have up to date CPDs as well. Evaluate and measure the subject matter on the basis of the suitable criteria and express opinion and give level of assurance which we mentioned. So level of assurance services is secretary, which is by law, non-secretary audit. Purpose of the audit to give an opinion about the financial, solely report to the shareholder. Secretary audit required by the company, and the non-secretary audit auditors can go opinion on the other statement. So advantages of non-secretary audit, which is by law is not required, but you can do it, which will help, to quickly, instead of you wait for the secretary audit end of the year within 15 months to 18 months. So that's which we setting is the account in a partnership account more acceptable to the tax authorities, and for the sale of business and negotiation of the loan that can be review. Why it's review done? A review audit give high level of assurance. Stated anything come to the attention of the editor, focus on the materiality. And we discussed in the previous lesson, materiality means the significance. So what is the materiality of major transaction, and the material things we have well stated, and those are true and fair. Less detail than the audit and less assurance is obtained in internal audit. Why done? Uh, employed by organization, the internal auditors, part of the internal control, responsibility to determine by the management and help management to carry out their duties properly in line with the compliance procedures. Assurance, true and fair. Yes, auditors give the opinion, truth and fairness, factual, free from bias, reflect, the commercial substance of transactions, and not opinion of absolute correctness, obtain evidence on the basis only, and cannot give the absolute due to the inherently limitation. That's, assurance report should be. Assurance auditor can prepare the reports, and they do the planning for the audit. Okay, so auditor is not objective to judgment have to made, not will all the item in the financial statement tested, and limitation in the accounting and control system. This is assurance and limitations can be inherently limit. Audit report issues in the long time after the balance sheet date. That's, the problem we have. Audit evidence sometime indicates, what is probably or not certain. Okay, so that's, which we, anybody, any question, please? If you have, you can ask, you can stop me. So assurance and reports, materiality, expression of the relative significance and importance of financial statement, material if the omission or misstatement influence the decision making, which we had a discussion, not capable of mathematical definition, both, qualitative and quantitative aspect, level of assurance, audit reasonable assurance, review negative assurance, and agreed upon the procedures, no assurance, yes, and reports, no assurance can be, which we need to be look around. Okay. Audit acceptance, planning, risk, materiality, and nature, and the work audit need to be done. Internal control, substantive and compliant testing, and the statement of the financial position and audit completion include. Okay, the financial statement position is the historical figures like a balance sheet. This is carry on happening, so that's a good. But the profit and loss every year we can prepare from the scratch that show the performance. So audit completion include the going concern in analytical procedures, the reporting, audit acceptance, annual cycle repeats. That's, which will carry on. So reporting to the risk, audit evidence, we can look around, respond, overall responses, further audit procedures and audit plan need to be, which is we can test of control and substantial procedures. This is audit procedures, which we can look around in analytical procedures and the test of control. Auditor must obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence to which, the basis audit opinion is developed. Affected by the reliability of evidence. Consider who generated, written down, and it's originally documented. So that's we need to be look around. Okay. Reporting to the risk, audit evidence, test of control. This high has already been dealt with. We had a discussion, but we have a chapter as well. So please, you can look around. Design and operation system, you can review, prevent deduction and existing. That's we had a discussion in the last, lesson, our internal control procedure. Role of control testing. When a detailed assessment risk and the material statement include, expectation of control operating effectively, we focus and perform test of control, then audit auditors can draw the opinion about and give the assurance. That's the most important thing. Okay, responding to the risk evidence, which we can look around substantial procedures. So auditor is seeking substantial assertion made, auditor known as a financial statement assertion transaction and the events, those are complete and we have evidence and the balance and so all the classes of transaction where are the fixed asset or other the expense, so we can look around events and related disclosure. Occurrence is there, is it completeness is there, accuracy there, and cutoff, the period is there. Classification, these being classified is the asset, is the liability, is the expense, and the presentation those have in term of your bookkeeping record, in terms of your trial balance, in terms of your final account. And that's, because the details can go back the point of origin of the transaction about the accounts balances and related disclosures at the period end, existent right, obligation, completeness, accuracy, valuation and allocation, and classification and presentation. That's all we need to be look around. Evidence about the session is obtained following procedures. Always look around the analytical procedures, inquiry, external confirmation, inspection, observation, recalculate your figures. There may be the total wrong. Yes, you can auditors can reperformance of transactions. So auditors must always carry out substantial procedures on the material item, and auditor never only be based on the test of control. So that the substantial procedures auditors can go back and can look around. Those are occurrence, those are complete, those have accuracy, those have a cutoff, you have a classification and presentation, those are right. Okay, in analytical procedures, analysis of the relationship between item of the data and the relevant information. Item of the data and the relevant. Analytical procedures includes comparison of the year's financial information with the similar information to the previous period. So if there is 100% asset increase, so where the money came from? Yes, who bought it? Who ordered it? So where the asset physically there? Is it not being creative accountant manipulate the revaluation of the asset and then putting in the book of account being asset being revalued? What the standard says for it? Anticipated result, budget, industry's information. We can look around elements of information which is expected to control, links between financial and non, and we can look around the risk assessment. Yes, so always substantial procedures. Analytical procedures maybe use a substantial procedure on audit. So when we say substantial procedures are suitable, is it reliable? Is it relevant? Is it available? So you have to look around, do the analysis. So analytical procedure, comparison of data with the relevant information or the previous year. The substantial, you can go back and look what the origin of that transaction. Okay, then reducing risk. We need to be look around. The analytical procedure must be used to ensure the financial statements seem a reasonable final review. Yes, significant fluctuation and unexpected relationship make inquiry directed, consider management and carried out. So payables, purchase, inventories, non-current assets, intangible loan investment. So all can be reviewed, and then opinion and the assurance can be drawn, accounting ratios can be used, and the sample test can be sampling. So we had a discussion in sampling and senses. Senses mean all, sample is mean the small proportion, which a sample must be chosen, which is enable editors to get evidence. Sampling is senses 100%, but the sample should represent the tolerable misstatement. So maximum amount of the misstatement in the population will be acceptable. Thus, which we can to different statistic or the sample, we can use the stratified the statistic sampling involve the randomly selection of the sample item, and non-statistical sampling editors can select the item using the professional judgment, the convenience sampling, quota sampling, categorize them transactions. So we can pick a few items from the current asset, non-current asset, and we can look around the expenses, we can look around the non-current asset, few items. So we can verify it. We can look around the implies, those being the procedure, the reference, they being the visas and all other bit, we can look around. Editors can look around even these side as well. Okay, consider the risk, expectation, misstatements, and acceptable level of misstatement. The greater reliance on the result test, of the control using audit sampling, lower the sampling risk editors is willing to accept. and consequently, which is larger the sample size, is they can be lower the risk. Okay, selection can be random, can be systematic, can be haphazard, chosen it will be, but the guarding against the bias of the selection, that's the method which we can use. Okay? Evaluation, a detail must analyze any misstatement in the sample, draw inference for the population as a whole, and draw the science, about the qualitative aspect of the misstatement should be considered. The nature of the misstatement, balance or misstatement may be extrapolated against the whole balance of population. That's which we can look around. Okay, CAT, we can look around computer assisted audit techniques, and within that audit software, this is check, the data had that and done in a hand and integrated data, and which help so test the data, yes, checking whether the system is operating properly, yes, feed the system some, so we can say you can please generate one of your purchase order and just order it and show us evidence, so the editor can observe the process and ask the question to anyone, that's help to draw the evidence and give the assurance accordingly. So a teacher can draw how many opinion that happen when the things the people don't know, actually they produce the voucher, they shown it, but actually not being proved. So integrated test facilities, which is permanent, testing environment placed in the database, which we can look around. Okay, audit evidence, ISA, which is International Standard for Assurance 500, sufficient appropriate audit evidence. So needs sufficient appropriate audit evidence to draw the reasonable conclusion. Object to express opinion, true and fair audit evidence is obtained, arrive and can draw the conclusion report. And the test of control, substantial procedure, test details, classes of transaction, and the accounting balances, disclosures, and substantial analytical procedures, which is mean used to the comparison purposes. So financial statements, assertion, representation made by directors and approving the financial statement. Directors are making representations about the information therein embodied into the financial statement. We can look around transaction of the event. Those have occurrence, complete, accuracy, cutoff, and classification. Account balances, we can look around those that existence, right, and obligation, who own the assets. Complete net evaluation and allocation and presentation, disclosure, occurrence, right, and obligation, completeness, classification, and accuracy. So we can look around within the financial statement, these assertions, and we can verify them. So audit evidence, which we can, other issues, audit procedures, inspection of the asset, inspection of the documentation, observation and inquiries and analytical procedure. So a computer aided design, yes, such as the using the computer as an audit tool to overcome lack of visible, audit trail, which we can look around the effectiveness and efficiency of the different test of control, audit software, audit smaller, entities, which we can look around. Is it big organization, substantial procedure, data assertions, which is mean comparing, with the data of the previous year, that can be. So introduction about audit sampling, usually seek evidence less than 100% of the item being tested in international standard of assurance. Audit sampling and mean testing, and determine appropriate means selecting the item and testing to gather sufficient appropriate evidence. And statically based sampling and non-statistical method, and selecting item due to the characteristic high level of key item and all items over the certain amount. So sample side, consider the sampling risk, can be consider the risk under the reliance, and over reliance can be then substantial procedure. Consider the risk of incorrect rejections or incorrect acceptance, and the key stages of sampling, objective and the population and the sampling size, what you have applied, that's also create a risk itself. So audit document, working papers, so important for to document, audit, the work performed in the past internally and externally, enable partner to review the adequate, work being performed and provide detailed work done for future reference, assist, planning and control of future audit, and we can look around, encourages and a methodical approach, which we can different methods and quality of audit, and IES International Standard of Assurance, which 230 is audit documentation. Those we have, the relevant. So then the key point need to be considered. Sufficient appropriate audit evidence must be obtained. Test of control, substantial procedure, a type of evidence. Reliability of audit evidence influenced by the source and the nature, and the audit testing designed to be fulfilled audit assertion, and less than 100% evidence is usually obtained, and all audit work must be documented, and documents should be the accuracy of, and we can look around audit opinion, evidence sufficient, appropriate, relevant, reliable, and then we can look around the nature, extent, and timing, the source, test of control, the system and controls. We can look around substantial procedure, audit procedures, and we can relying on the work of others, and we can look around the types of audit procedures existing and timing. We can look around sampling, we can look around the interim and the final and the computer, those tested, that is quite, to look around. Please, for further reading, you can look around the chapter. Please click that link, that will help you further to explore and look around. And I already gave you the chapter of the books, a workbook that gave you about. So we can look around the LO3 today, and we went through the how we can sampling assurance and how help, in substantial procedures and assertions, analytical procedure that was in our discussion. Any question, please?
No, not for me.
Okay, thank you. Any question you have, plan? Yes, please. If you have, you can ask. If not, we'll keep up to here then. And thanks for attending. So please, you can look around LO3, the key, which is LO2, we done in the workbook for background reading, and LO1. So we have 4 LOs. So next week we will go through LO4 and we'll do the assignment discussion. I'll give you the samples and we look around how we can address within our assignment brief, and where we can find the resources. So I mentioned you the good website, Kaplan. We can look around. We discuss about open tuition, where you can download F8, which is ACC exam. It's called Audit and Assurance, please, where you can download the book lecture if you want to see there as well. There are plenty of free resource. And other than that, we can look around accaglobal.com, where we can find the article on various, issues like audit evidence, test of control. So these is quite good too for further our background reading. And other than that, we have books, and I gave you the Kaplan revision cards as well. Those also help you. Thanks for attending and have a wonderful weekend, and we'll speak to you next week then.
Speak to you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.